Hello everybody, and welcome back to the smoke room. We had an exciting time last time. We were running away from the guard, and we met up with Paul and Philippe. Beckett threatened to shoot us. That was very exciting. At least I think so. But we are still on the run, trying to get through the mines with Paul, Philippe, and Nick, and meet up with Yao. Will we get there? Is Yao gonna betray us all at the last moment? Are we gonna get there, get all the gold together, and Yao is just gonna say, "Nothing personal, kid," and shoot us all? That's what I want to happen. Or better yet, I want Paul to do it, so that I can voice, "Nothing personal, kid," because I just think that would be funny. But we'll get started. As we pass through beams of light, I noticed something I hadn't before. Oh, there are specks of blood on Nick's shirt. He's been coughing hard. I lean in to whisper into his ear. "You're bleeding." He hushes me, looking forward. Paul and Philippe hadn't noticed it yet. "They don't need to know." "But it's all over your chest." "We can say it's somebody else's blood." "Is this Chris's?" What was the line from Resident Evil? "I hope this isn't Chris's blood." Very good. "I'm just overexerting myself a bit." That doesn't look like a bit. "Hey." He takes a very sharp and serious tone with me. "No fretting. Worry about cave monsters and bullets. Not what I cough up on a napkin." "Your shirt ain't a napkin." "I'm fine, Samuel." He seems to believe so. But I don't think he's right. We had people at the hip cough blood from time to time, and Dora always took it seriously. The longer we walk, the more voices we hear ahead. The only thing that keeps me from panicking is that I hear more than just Albion being spoken. We come out to a domed cavern with better natural lighting. Paul was right. There are more miners here than I thought there would be. Hundreds who have escaped the guard. All gathered in this place. Rays of light pierce through the rocks in the sky far above. A craggy sandstone stacked in wedges makes them look possible to climb. The idea of an exit existing here somewhere begins to feel more likely. But if it's here, I still can't identify it. And I don't see Yao either. But what everyone does see is a tall crate in the middle of the room, with a white sheet over it. Nick tilts his head a bit. "Are those supposed to be the weapons?" "This is where he said they would be. We followed his marks on the wall." "Big, but a big crate. Just sitting out there in the open." Nick shakes his head. "No. This feels too, conspicuous for Yao." Paul frowns. Either he doesn't agree, or he doesn't want to admit that he thinks something isn't right. People crowd around the box. People mention that they might have waited long enough. Some ask for the appearance of Fan Yaolin. But it's Philippe who kneels by the crate and knocks on it. He turns his head and gives the Wolverine a skeptical look. "Yao's not here, man." "I ain't blind, Philippe." "He didn't think to leave us tools." "It's nailed shut." The voices talk over one another as people in the room shuffle about, touching the crate, trying to push on it to tip it over, or look underneath it. Look under the sheet, sorry. It took a while for Paul to get everybody to quiet down. None of the Albion speakers managed to bring forth a pick. He asks Philippe to ask the Sonoran speakers if they have one on hand. Eventually, someone manages to supply one, and they start picking at the outside walls of the crate. Oh. After cracking the wood open, the buzz of the crowd only grows angrier. From the angle I can see it, it doesn't look like there are any guns or ammunition inside. More people shout to take all of the wood off. Paul shoves his torso inside instead, looking around. He lets out a shout from within. He comes out, eyes red from irritation, holding what looks like something limp and rubbery.
The hell's that, man?
These are Yao's mining gloves! He puts his hands inside and then pulls out a letter. I see a Huoxian? I can't pronounce things, guys. I cannot pronounce things. A character stamped into the red wax of the seal before the Wolverine breaks it. Paul pulls out the letter inside, unfolding it as people let out sounds of surprise or confusion. Most of them probably can't even read the letter, considering it's in Albion. Me and Nick look over his shoulder to see what it says. What does that say? The weapons are not coming. The plan has been compromised. You all have to get out. The only way now is the deepest passage. Follow the red lines in the deep to the second passage. I have fixed the elevator so it can go to the lowest level now.
Oh, fuck this.
We hear the hair curse under, but behind our necks. We all turn to Philippe, who has thrown his arms up.
No weapons?
The Wolverine stares at the paper some more, as if there will change what's written, what the writing says. Afraid not. The hair lets out a string of sonoran that I don't understand. It makes some of the other sonorans cover their mouths or let out calls of despair.
He pushed us this far and didn't give us anything to protect ourselves with.
Paul shakes his head. We don't know what happened. I doubt he wanted things to be like this. Something must have happened. The hair is tugging, yes, his ears, so hard it looks like he's about to pull them off.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. There's no excuse for putting us in this position.
Shit happens, Philippe.
Shit is right. He just expects us to push through the miners and walk out into the desert. Just walk on, out there, out in the open. No food, no water, no idea or direction for what's next.
He lets out another string of sonoran, harsher, quieter, more like hissing.
No way. I'm out.
Paul just stares and blinks, sorry. The fuck you mean you're out? The hair shakes his head.
I said what I said.
The hair starts pushing his way through the crowd. Paul grabs him by hooking him around the elbow. You think if you put up your hands, they won't shoot you? They'll let you go back to mining?
I don't know, man. Maybe. You think it was worth it, losing all of our friends, all of our jobs, our lives? Was any of this worth it?
I worry that if Paul pulls any tighter on the hair's arm, that'll tear it off the socket. How was the guard's overreaction our fault? Do you really think things would go any better if we hadn't done anything at all?
I really don't know.
Philippe yanks his arm away from the Wolverine and pushes him away.
Kind of hard to imagine anything worse than this.
It was pretty damn easy to imagine considering they've done it before. They're monsters, Philippe. They were never gonna stop. They don't even know how to stop. We have to show them the consequences. The hair holds up both of his paws in front of the Wolverine to cut him off from speaking.
Look, I know you don't have a family. But I do. They will die without me, and I am not going to let that happen. So fuck your ideals. And fuck your imaginary weapons. My family relies on tangible things. So like I said before, I'm out.
The hare pushes past the Wolverine and starts lopping down the tunnel. You're a coward! You hear me? A damn fool if you do this!
Just let him go, Paul.
The Wolverine ignores Nick and follows the direction that Philippe ran off in. Paul shouts again, cursing him, damning him, saying he'll skin him for ever seeing him if he ever sees him again. Confusion breaks out again once the hare disappears completely into the dark. Again, people call out Yao's name, and for the weapons.
Nick. What's Sam?
He sounds agitated. I don't know if it's because of what Yao really left in the crate, or what just happened to Philippe.
Sorry. And nothing to be sorry for.
Sorry for what?
We can only control what we chose to do. Others will do what they want. And right now, I'm looking for the red paint. Even if that's all he gave us, that's still something. He told us not to come.
Nick smiles.
And we did anyway. You're only proving my point, Samuel. But why would he leave his gloves?
I think about the pit at the bottom of the mines.
Perhaps he wanted to hide the letter. Nobody would find it.
I look at the pair of gloves dropped on the floor, bending down to pick them up. Maybe he left some other message with them. There's nothing scratched onto the outside of them. I feel around them. Nothing inside. They're just leather gloves, as thick as they are ordinary. But I recognize the smell. These are definitely his. Okay. Sorry, that idea is just really funny. Like, I can smell you. I can smell you, Ansem. I bring up how useless they are before a loud noise makes me shut my mouth. We hear gunshots down the tunnel. Gunshots that are extremely close. Philippe, go down! Everybody goes quiet. I don't want to think if those shots were for Philippe or not. Somebody shoves the crate, making it rock. For a moment, I can see there's darkness beneath the cover. The corner. Nick sees it too.
We hold the end and shove it together.
It budges, but we can't muster the strength to tip it over alone.
Give us a hand.
Paul doesn't wait to ask anything, as he puts his body weight into the box too. His eyes are angry and bleary, probably because of what likely just happened down the tunnel. But he puts everything that he has into the push. Lit! Okay. It topples over, and beneath it we can see a shallow drop. That's what it says. There's red paint splattered on the floor. The Wolverine gestures with his arms and shouts, pointing his arms. Down! Quick! No, I see. All these red lines. Nick and I and several other miners drop down. As we descend, we can see that there is a series of additional drops that lead into lower levels of the next floor if we slide through the gaps and keep dropping. Dozens of people follow us, spilling through the cracks. I see one man twist his leg, but he covers his mouth to smother the noise of pain. Another man slips, hitting his forehead, going unconscious. Some people try to carry him, but others argue about it. We don't stop to see whether they bring him or not. It doesn't take long to get to the widest room of the mine, with the long vertical shaft. Like Yao promised, a caged platform is there, which wasn't there before. I recognize it as the disassembled pieces, which was left at the bottom of the mine on the way to the Hendricks Manor. Nick tells us the elevator looks sturdy enough to fit about 10 people at a time. Paul volunteers to operate the winch above. The way it whines and squeals sends chills through my bones as I watch the first group of 10 go down. It's not any easier when it's my turn to descend. I wonder for a moment if it's noisy enough to get us caught. If there are guardsmen watching us, they aren't speaking, and they definitely aren't shooting. Nick operates the winch from the bottom, and I feel a little better once the three of us are down here together with the rest of the men. But the long rope bridge sways from one side of the chasm to another, is waiting for us, and the acid in my stomach wells up in my throat. The voice that has long left me, but I remember how it goaded me across the bridge, wanting me to go down, wanting me to go deeper. But across from me, I see the false rock. I remember that Yao had stored a gun. I test the rock to see if it's still there, and it is. A reminder of a promise, despite everything, somewhat fulfilled. I whisper, "Nick!" He turns to me, feeling the gun at his side. I try to slip it to him, to make him hide it. He shakes his head, then slips it into my pocket. "You will need it more than I." He bares his fangs and shows me fisticuffs, lightening my heart, and makes me forget for just a moment where we are again, and what's happening to us. "Paul!" "What now, Ayers?" The Wolverine still sounds emotional. Whether it's because of what Philippe did, or what likely happened to him, we can't say. "When we get to the bottom of the mines, there's a path we have to follow. Tell as many people as you can that they have to follow the markings on the ground, and go nowhere else." "Sure thing, sweetheart." Nick gives me a wary look. "We've been this way before, Paul. You have to do this." "Yao is the one who told us to do this in the first place." He nods slowly. It's not an understanding nod. "So, how come it wasn't in the letter then?" That's a fair question. How come it wasn't in the letter? Nick and I weren't guaranteed to be here to tell everybody. The ominous feeling reckless for a fellow like Yao. A fellow who'd factor in every detail. Maybe he was rushed. Either way, we can't tell if Paul's choosing to listen to us or not. But I can only hope everybody who would choose to listen to us heard. "Let's go, folks! Let's go!" The rope beneath us squeak and whine as we shepherded across the bridge. Considering the circumstances, I'm impressed that too many people aren't crossing over at the same time. But considering we can't even see the bottom of where we'd fall, it might be because everybody knows they don't really want to cross this bridge. Even though we know now that they do, that they have to. Sorry. Oh, look at that. This is dark and spooky. In some ways, it's a miracle we can manage to get this many people across the old bridge without it falling. It's so damn dependable for a bridge this old, especially for something made of rope. But for some reason, that also feels wrong to me, because it shouldn't be for something so ordinary. But it is. But as if this bridge isn't meant to fail, every person is meant to make it. And every person does make it to the descent of the stone steps on the other side. They're just as old and out of place as I remember them. That same feeling that the elevator gave me. Our long walk down begins. And I don't know how long we walk. I am messing up today. A weird recording session that is for certain. We go deeper. It gets darker. We're hearing the shambling of so many footsteps stops making me feel so comfortable now. There are so many of us, but we can't see one another's faces. As we go deeper, I don't hear as many footsteps, and it frightens me. I try to stare into the darkness, to try and see if anything has happened, as if to make out whether or not there are fewer of us. I can still see many men walking, even if their faces are hard to make out. But some of them are crawling on their hands.
You see them doing it too?
I don't answer for a while. But then I whisper, "Yeah." I wait a while before I speak up again. "Don't let them hear you." The fur on the back of my neck sticks up after I hear that voice. The voice that couldn't possibly belong to a person. "Why are they crawling?" "They must be tired. It is like your feet when you shouldn't be walking. But your hands know where it always... But your hands know there... Yeah, okay. There's always more work to be done. And busy hands are living hands." I nod, even though he's talking kind of funny. "Please don't start crawling, Nick. I would not if you asked me to." I reach out to hold his hand in the dark. But whether the dark is at fault or the level of the steps, it's impossible to find. Oh, okay. At last, we reach the bottom of the steps. I don't feel better being here, but it's nice and like, look, the rocks are the pretty. It's fine. It's fine there, Samuel. But it's much easier to see. And I don't hear any guns down here. Just a buzzing sound. A sound like the earth is talking. The hum. I see. Talking from one of the oldest pits of time. A time before time even began for people. It's impossible to ignore the massive pile of stacked gloves beside me. Without saying anything, Paul takes Yao's gloves and tosses them onto the pile. Nobody feels the need to ask him why. So I do. "Why did you do that?" There's an inexplicable dread inside me again. Dunno. You know, I do things too that I'm just like, why did I throw that there? I don't know. It is what it is. I wasn't really thinking about it. "But still, you did it." He looks at me like I'm crazy. But I'm not the person who had a hard time explaining why I do things whenever somebody asks. It's crazy that he doesn't want to know why. It's there, it's a pile, gloves, glove pile. It's not like he's going to need those anymore, is he? I'll buy him new ones. That's it. If I ever see that son of a bitch again. I notice that the pile gets bigger as more workers get to the bottom. And Paul didn't just put Yao's in the pile. His are gone too. I don't know why or what it means, but I don't think it's a good idea. I keep mine on in case I'll need to climb anything sharp. The pile has already been there after all. It feels very grim to me, like agreeing to have your bones thrown into a tomb, or an ossuary? Ossuary. Mixed in and inseparable from all the others. Where not even your bones can point out much about you, about who you were anymore. That's what that says. I don't want to look to see if Yao put his gloves, no, that Nick put his gloves on the pile too. Some people make casual talk and about the walk being hell, and that they don't want to carry any more unnecessary weight. But I can't pay much attention to them. I need to find the path. The path that will lead Nick and Nikolai out of here. Me and Nikolai out of here, sorry. But then I stop. Nothing in this tunnel glows like the way it did the first time. What was bright and lustrous looks wet, like glistening mud or fouled water that shines in uneven flecks when disturbed. I wanted to say like disturbed, but this is disturbed. Okay. I can't see a path anymore. There's no distinct pattern to light the way. Just faintly glowing lights that mix together and crossroads into what looks like arched doorways. And this is the bottom of the mine, ain't it? Okay, actually. I am going to end the part here. So we'll go see what's gonna happen in the dark, scary pit next time. I'm sure Paul will make it out of this with us. I'm very certain. We're all gonna die. It's fine. But I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys around.